this on here without stopping the video. I think that worked. I'll film a 20-minute video and then get annoyed if it hasn't been filming. Alright, Sigma My House, bidding you guys welcome to another video. This is first part going to be pickups, and the second part is going to be a review of an RPG that I've just finished. You're going to see it in the title. It's Phantasy Star IV. I thought I might do like a sneaky thing playing music, you know, like, oh, can you guess what the music is? But you're going to see it in the title of the video. It's Phantasy Star IV. Alright, I'll do pickups first. We don't have a whole lot to show. I should have more to show, but I'm waiting on a few things. I actually won a contest at EB Games for their Starlight Foundation charity. When I bought a bunch of like steelbook cases from them, I went into the draw to win prizes, and I won some PS4 games, and they were arriving at my local store. I don't know when. I went into the store and asked, can you guys call me when you get them? I'll give you my number. And they said, oh no, I can't save numbers unless like it's a pre-order. And I don't understand that. Just write my name and phone number down on a sheet and put it somewhere where you'll see it. Very, very bad customer service. Thankfully, I did not shop at that store to enter that competition. It's just the store I chose to have them delivered to because it's local to me. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to harp on about bad customer service, bad retail. I've worked retail, I get it. Customers fucking suck and you don't want to deal with them. But we'll get to some pickups. I was in a few up shops. I went to the Browns Plains area because I actually had a few things to pick up. So Xbox 360 games, those are all to sell, so I'm not going to show them in this video. But they were $1 each, and this cash converters at Browns Plains is actually coming up real good. I keep finding stuff almost every week there now. I'm checking the web shop and they're listing stuff, and for whatever reason other people aren't buying it. I don't know if that store has a bad reputation or something, but people aren't buying from the store, and I'm getting the good deals. But before there, I went to an up shop across the road, and they had a copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 for $100. I don't know NES prices at all, but it's 3 figures seemed very high to me. I did not buy it. I don't collect for NES anyway. They also had a Wale Golf Club on the N64 for $10, which I guess was cool to see. I don't know if it's worth that or much more than that, but it was cool to see. I was looking through their electronics and I found some Wii accessories. Most of them were just plastic, which is funny because they all had this on there. And I thought, how can it not work if it's just a piece of plastic? But they did have one of these, a Wii remote. It was $5. I threw some batteries in it, tested it out, it did work. I always keep batteries in my car for situations like this. I do see Wii remotes pretty often, but I've been burned in the past where I've bought them and they've not worked, so now I always keep batteries in the car so that I can quickly test these. And like, usually I'll buy them and test them in the car and then take it back in and say, hey, this didn't work, you can't sell this, it doesn't work. But for this one, I took them into the store and tested it there because sometimes it's a hassle. It's very rare, but I've gotten before, oh, all sales are final, very sorry. This item was sold without an electrical guarantee. And I'm trying to show them, look, it doesn't work. I've just bought it. You can't do this. It's illegal. So I just bring the batteries in the store now. If they have a problem with it, they come talk to me. But it said works on it, which was a nice sign, and it did work. I think it's such an easy thing to test, it really shouldn't slip through any cracks at all. If you put a price tag on it, you should know it works, even if you've only plugged it in or put batteries in it, you know? It's the same thing with a DVD. At the very least, open up a DVD and make sure it's not physically looking broken before you put it out and put a price tag on it. But also from the cash converters, I bought these things here. Actually, no, these are at Goodna. These were from the Browns Plains cash converters. We had this PS3 game here for $2. Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition. Really good game. Really good game. I think this one has the racist costume in it. I can't say I've ever played as that particular character in that particular costume, but I'm pretty sure this is the one that has it. And I grabbed 3 PS4 games, 2 for the collection, 1 to sell. I've gotten a little bit under $20 for this in the past, so $7 is a pretty good price. I decided to pick it up. It's AFL Evolution. I wish it was number 2, that one's worth more, but this one's still a good one. One of the few games on the PS4 to come with a full color manual. Pretty cool. It's all in English too. The rules of AFL really aren't that complicated. You get the ball, you kick it into the goal, you try not to get beheaded. That's pretty much it. And 2 other PS4 games, both from my collection, good titles. I don't think I have this one. I'll have to look through my collection, but I bought it on a whim, thinking I probably don't have it. It is Dying Light. I bought this one for $7, I figure that's a pretty good price. And I don't know a whole lot about the game. I know it's a zombie game. I know they released a sequel to it, but I don't know very much about the game at all. Be the Zombie mode, that's pretty cool. Kind of like Left 4 Dead where you can play as a zombie. And one I was really wanting to try, I really liked the first game in this like the remake of the series. It is Doom Eternal. I really liked Doom on the PS4. That's one I bought when I originally had my PS4 a few years back. I really wanted to play Doom, and when I did play it, it's such a fun game, you know, running and gunning and you chain together combinations. It's so good. I figured $9 for this was a really, really good price. It tends to go for closer to like 30 or 35. Manual. Maybe manuals are coming back. This one isn't much of a manual, but it's there. Yeah, Doom Eternal there. I think $9 for that was a really good price. This is supposed to be a very good game too. It's supposed to be really good. Right, and these PS3 games were all from Goodna. I really don't go into the Goodna cash converters at all anymore. They just don't have anything, man. They never get much new in. I check the web shop. Everything new they get immediately goes up on their web shop, so I'm never missing out. I always see what they have, and it's always... I don't know if they're holding stuff for eBay or what, but stuff's just not getting to their shelves. Not getting to their shelves, or maybe not getting traded into the store at all, I don't know. But it seems like games are pretty hard to find at that cash converters now, which I don't really understand, because from my understanding, they must get the stock that gets traded in Inala. I cannot imagine where else it would go, unless it's all going to Browns Plains, I don't know. Or maybe the Ipswich store, I don't know. But I was very lucky to check the Cash Converters website and see a bunch of PS3 games, and I just bought a heap. I figure some of these will be definite upgrades for my collection, and ones that aren't are going to be easy to sell or trade. For $2 each, we have Dynasty Warriors 6, Time Shift. I'm actually a really big fan of this game. This was one of the first games I played on the Xbox 360, I think it was. I had this game and Fallout 3, the Game of the Year edition in 2010. I bought these 2 games. That's when I really got back into gaming, in 2010. But I was blown away by this game. Great graphics. The time warp mechanic was really, really cool. Like, you could go back in time or make your character go faster, slow down the enemies. There was some really cool effects in this. I really enjoyed it. Time Shift. Got Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmares. I've never finished these games. I got pretty far into Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, but they're such big games that I just never got around to finishing them. I got my money's worth, I just never got around to finishing them. And this one is a standalone title. You don't need this game to play this game, you can just put this game right in and start playing. And it's got zombies. Heavenly Sword, I'll have to check this with my copy. This copy is very nice with the manual. I'm surprised this isn't worth a little bit more. I know it's a pretty common game, but it's a PS3 exclusive. I don't know if it's gotten like re-released too much. Lego Lord of the Rings in a generic case, unfortunately. Dark Souls. Really love Dark Souls. I played this one on the Xbox 362, the Prepare to Die edition. And it's one of those games where when I bought it, I played it for probably 2.5 hours, and I just couldn't make progress. I was stuck in one of the first areas. I beat the Asylum Demon. I beat the I beat that one you battle on the bridge as well, but I couldn't get past the gargoyles, and I was dying heaps and heaps just trying to get there again and again, and I just gave up. And then maybe 6 months later, I picked it up again, and I thought, you know, I'm gonna try it a bit differently. I'm gonna unequip some items. I'm getting killed in 1 or 2 hits anyway, so it doesn't matter what my defense is. It matters more that I'm avoiding attacks. And I really started to figure out the game. I figured out that you can't just blindly attack through enemies. You have to kind of bait an attack out of them and, you know, parry them. And, you know, there's a bit of strategy to the combat. And once I figured it out, I had a great time and finished the game. I finished all of the Dark Souls. And Demon Souls on the PS3. I haven't played Sekiro. And I haven't played Elden Ring. I would like to. Someday. And this is actually one for my collection. Seen It. I don't have this one for my PS3 collection. It's not a title that interests me a whole lot, but whatever. It's $2. I might decide to sell it, who cares. Alright, that is it for pickups. So now... let's get a little bit into the Phantasy Star IV review. So I've been wanting to play another bigger RPG for a while. In the last 5 or 6 years I've played Paper Mario plus Thousand Year Door, I played Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, I played Ni no Kuni. Oh, I played Secret of Mana all the way to the end. That one was okay. I have played a few more, I just don't remember the names of them. I've done some action RPGs as well, which I've really enjoyed. But I want to keep trying for beating 1 or 2 RPGs a year. I'm never going to finish all the RPGs out there, the great RPGs. But if I can finish all the good classic ones, I'm happy with that. Like everything up to the PlayStation, if I finish those, I'm happy with that. I don't like 8-bit RPGs, so it's basically just going to be 16-bit RPGs and a little bit of PlayStation RPGs in there. For example, the next game I want to play... I finished Kingsfield. That's an RPG. Like, by definition, Kingsfield is an RPG. Where'd it go? Here it is. This is probably going to be the next RPG I play, because it's apparently only 10 hours long. That sounds good to me. I'll hook up the PS3 and we'll get into it. But I played Phantasy Star IV. I don't have a copy. I've never owned a copy. It's always been too expensive. I played it on an emulator, and it was a really good experience to play on an emulator. You play as Chaz, and you're with a character called Elise or Alyssa, something like that, or Alice. She's like your mentor, your kind of big sister in the game, and she's like a really good character. You start off as a really low-level character. You're both bounty hunters on a planet called, I think it's Motavia? Matavia or Doralis, those are the two main planets in the game. There are like space stations and little planets you visit as well, but those are the two main ones. Matavia and Doralis. I'm going off of memory for all of this. Even if I look off screen, it's just playing a music clip. So you start on this one planet. It's a pretty nice planet. It's full of scholars that remember a more technologically advanced time that has since come to past. And you're playing as a bounty hunter, like a rookie bounty hunter. And as you go along the main quest, you level up, you do all this stuff, you have various quests, and you're tasked with finding out about someone named Zio. Zio is kind of the big bad guy in the first, I'd say, third of the game. He's the big bad guy. It's funny, it's split up between 3 acts, and it's kind of bad in this way, because I like RPGs where it's always building up to the big boss battle, but in this one it has 3. It builds up to Zio, who you gather all of these great party members. You have a healer, you have a spellcaster, you have a brute force guy, and you battle Zio. Zio beats you once, and he defeats Alyssa, and she dies. Spoiler alert for a 25-year-old game. Oh, fuck, nearly 30 now. This game's the same age as me, nearly 30. Alyssa dies, or Alice dies. I'm pretty sure it's Elise. It's like A-L-Y-S. And your character's name is Chaz. You don't get the opportunity to name characters. You have to stick with the names they're given. I usually give them characters, you know. I'll be the main character. The first female character I meet will be named Catherine after my wife. If we meet like a pet character, like a half cat thing, I'll name it Cleo after my cat, my old cat, and so on and so forth. But you eventually fight Zio. He defeats all of you. Alice suffers Alice suffers mortal wounds and ends up dying. That's a pretty shocking moment in the game. You actually get her sword, which you can trade into a store, and I kept it through the whole game thinking it would have some sort of significance, but it doesn't. It has no significance at all, other than a keepsake of your dead friend, your mentor. And eventually you gain a secret weapon. It's like a force field destroyer, and that breaks down Zio's force field so that you can actually attack him. I think you have to use magic against him. Physical attacks don't work very well, if I remember correctly. And you eventually defeat him, and I was thinking, man, this is a really short game. It's like 8 hours long. But then it's announced that, because the planet is like destroying itself and they're blaming Zio for it, but he's not actually the cause, he's just like a catalyst for it. So you have to fly in a spaceship to different planets. You go to Desalis, or it's like a snow planet, but the snow is too much. It's always cold there, but it's never so cold to always be blanketed in snow. It's here you meet Raja, who is the best character in the whole game. Once I got this character Raja, the whole game is easy. There's no more challenge at all. As long as you're keeping a healthy level up, you're grinding before every boss battle for like 30 minutes or an hour, there's no challenge left in the game once you have Raja. He does leave the party, but by the time he leaves the party, your other characters are so well versed, high level, they've got good equipment, and they actually have healing abilities of their own. Like 3 characters out of your main 4 have healing abilities, so you never run out of healing spells. And you can always stock up on like really good healing stuff like Stardew, which brings a character back to life, Souldew, which brings a character back to life with full health. You can use Moondew, which I think restores health to all of your characters, which is fantastic. But yeah, he's like the best character. He's very funny too in his interactions. If you are playing this game, I recommend interacting with absolutely everything in the environment. There are some really funny scenes, like your character early on in the game discovers a Sega Game Gear in a drawer in someone's house. I just think that's really funny. You can also go to Alice's house and you can check her drawers, and the character makes a comment about pulling out a pair of underwear. It's very funny. It's a very funny game. It reminds me a lot of like 90s anime, where even if it's very serious, most of the characters themselves are just goofy caricatures, which I love. That's right up my alley. So yeah, after you defeat Zio, you travel to a new place, the Motavia or Dezalis, one of those two. I can't remember. You eventually go to a space station which is infected by Dark Fowls or Dark Force. I think it depends on what translation you're playing, what it says. And he's the big bad from the first game, and for some reason in this game you fight him 3 times. And it's not a super difficult boss battle if you know what you're doing, but you have to know what you're doing. Like, I got my ass kicked the first few times, and then I annihilated him without any kind of resistance in the last encounter. And that was pretty much it all 3 times. No boss gave me any really bad trouble. Even the Profound Darkness, which is the very end boss, I beat that on my 2nd try. It really wasn't too bad at all. As long as you have a good healer in your party. And you know which spells to use. Because, stay more of the story. You beat Dark Force 3 times, which just seems like overkill. To fight him once is a cool throwback, but to fight him 3 times just seemed silly. I wish they had put in different enemies. But I guess with the story, you can't really have many human or even monster enemies to battle as bosses. It's more like, kind of like Earthbound, where you're fighting concepts. It's very weird. At the end, the big bad you're fighting is called the Profound Darkness, and just his presence in the universe alone, as he is escaping a black hole into your universe, is enough to cause all of these monsters and terrible things to happen. He's like... I don't even know what I would compare him to, but just him existing is bringing atrocities to the universe. If that makes any sense. But... I guess that's really all I can The story's a bit weird. To spoil something big, eventually you travel to a planet that isn't on any map, and it's hidden by a invisibility force field, but as soon as you enter its atmosphere, it appears. And it's here that you learn about the Profound Darkness and all of these things, and as it turns out, your sorcerer is a descendant of a character from one of the original games, the first 3. His name is Ren, I think? Maybe not Ren, maybe it's someone else. I think Ren was an android, it's a different character. But he is Ruin, his name is Ruin. And he's a magic spellcaster, and he unveils to Chaz that you are like the chosen one. Like, it is written that Chaz will defeat the Profound Darkness. And do all of these things, and he just says, well, I didn't tell you before because I wasn't exactly sure if it was all true. It's a bit thrown together. It feels a bit sloppy, the story, to be completely honest. Like, they needed a really cool epic ending, and the battle with the Profound Darkness is really cool and epic. You enter a crater on Motavia, so like a meteorite hits Motavia, the starting planet, and like destroys all of the towns. So you can't visit any towns anymore, there's no one there, everyone's dead. And so you go into this big crater, and it transports you to like another dimension where you go through this crazy dungeon with really powerful enemies, and it's like, you get lost real easy. I actually found the main boss. I found the Profound Darkness pretty quickly, even though I had no idea where I was going. You just walk along these like set pathways, and you can't go anywhere except on the pathways, and sometimes it'll branch off or fork off into different areas, and you'll step on a teleporter and get teleported to a new area, and I just got there quickly, seemingly by total luck. I don't know if it's set up that way. Maybe it is. You also get like Chaz gets a really powerful sword. It said this sword is the only thing that can defeat Dark Fowls. It's the only thing powerful enough. And once you get that sword, that's when Ruin kind of tells you about the whole prophecy, and getting the sword is what proved your worth. Kind of like King Arthur drawing the sword from the stone. I think that's what they were going for. It is a good game. My big gripe with it, other than the bosses, because the bosses feel thrown together. You fight Zio and you think, oh, that was the big bad, but now suddenly you're fighting Dark Fowls 3 times, and then you're fighting the Profound Darkness. It's like, it builds and builds and builds, but none of the enemies are staying long enough to really have a good, meaningful impact on you. Like, in Earthbound, you're hearing about Gygus from the time you switch the game on. And it's building up to Gygus the whole game, so that eventually when you find Gygus and he's there, look, I just got a shiver thinking about it. And thinking about seeing it for the first time and doing the big boss battle. It's like, whoa. In this one, it feels like it's doing that again and again and again, and it just doesn't have the same impact, you know? So I didn't really like that. I also didn't really enjoy the spell or technique system. If you have a manual, I'm sure it details all of the spells, all of the techniques, and it tells you what they do. But I didn't have those things, so as I was playing the game, I actually had a web page open detailing what every spell and every technique does, because they have generic names. Probably the only one that I knew what it did when I looked at it was Res. I thought, well, that's Restore. That will increase my HP, and it did. But other stuff I had to guess, and even further on in the game, I didn't really know what most of the spells did. I would just try some in combat, and if it did a lot of damage to an enemy, I'd just keep using it, and I'd remember to use this spell on this enemy, you know? It's got an actual system, you know, like, you got your fire attack, your lightning attack, your air attack, your prayer attack, your holy attack. But I wasn't really paying attention to any of that stuff because I didn't know what any of the spells did. They just have weird generic names, and I didn't like that. I'll bring up a spell list. Okay, so this spell is called Nathu. N-A-T-T-H-U. Can you guess what it is? It is damage to one enemy, and the element is light. How would you know that? You know? And other stuff too, even like buffing spells. Doran. D-O-R-A-N. Can you guess what that does? Plus agility, or minus the agility of all enemies. So you attack before they do. But there's nothing to say it does that, you know? Even like more powerful versions of spells. Res, I could understand. Restore. What's Gi-Res? G-I-R-E-S. What's Na-Res? What is Sa? SAR. That is heal all non-Android allies. That doesn't mean anything to me until I use it, and I have to remember it, you know? That's something I really didn't like. The techniques were similar, but not as bad. Like, the techniques had, like, actual words, not, like, made-up words. Like, one was called crosscut, so I figured, oh, well, that's just an attacking move. And, you know, stuff like that. That one's a lot better. One was called, Saint Elmo's Fire. Raja has it. And I just guessed, well, Raja's a healer, so that's probably a magic attack with, like, with light damage. And I was right. So I didn't like that at all. I really disliked it. I don't know why they set it up like that. Maybe it's direct translation of their Japanese names. Maybe it means something in Japan. But to the English reader, it's nonsense. If I had seen that on a page and someone told me what is that, I'd say those are just nonsense words. They mean nothing. So I didn't like that. Graphics are pretty good. Pretty good. I think by 1995 they're a little bit lacking, but you do get some really big boss battles. The enemies are all really good looking. Overworld looks nice. I'd say it's decent. It's in the top end of Genesis Sega games, Mega Drive, but probably not in the top end of 16-bit games, especially not on the RPG side of things, where you do get some really great graphics. Music, very tinny. And I don't mean a 4X. I'm talking about the Sega Mega Drive sound chip. It's hard coming from Super Nintendo RPGs to Sega Mega Drive RPGs, because the Super Nintendo will sound like everything's on a Casio keyboard, while the Sega Mega Drive will sound like everything's very compressed. You've been listening to the soundtrack, you guys know. There is some great music on the Mega Drive, some really great music, but I think it really takes a special talent to bring out the best of its sound capabilities. But overall, I did enjoy the game. I wouldn't say it's one of the better RPGs I've played, which makes it a bit disappointing, because I hear so many great things about, you know, Phantasy Star, but then I look at actual reviews and it seems they're not actually very good games. Phantasy Star IV was very, very good. Apparently Phantasy Star III is not good at all. Phantasy Star II is very, very grueling, difficult. And same with Phantasy Star I, apparently. But yeah, I am glad I played it. The end of the millennium. Alright, see you in my house. Bid you guys farewell. Leave your downvotes and nasty comments about my opinions. I look forward to reading them.